All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays. They work in your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Yo, what is up, everybody? This is Sportsminute with another episode on the ASAP Sports Network. I am Ace, and I am joined tonight by none other than J-Mac. How's it going tonight, J-Mac?
Can't complain. Little cold here.
The one and only, the Vic. How's it going tonight, Vic?
It's fantastic, and I'm like having to open windows because my fire is too hot.
And tonight, we actually have a special guest for you tonight. Everybody, you all know him. He goes by Mess Around. So welcome, Mess Around. How's it going tonight, bud?
Oh, it's good, dude. Good.
All right. So before we get started, the first thing I want to say is that tonight's show is actually brought to you in part by, and the Vic, you can take it away when the sponsorship comes up.
It is brought to you by Suzanne's Bling Paparazzi. You can access her 24/7 at paparazzi.com. I'm sorry, paparazziaccessories.com. Consultant code 160920. Christmas is coming. Everything is lead and nickel free. Everything is $5. So instead of going to Subway getting your $5 footlong, go here, get some jewelry that's going to last longer than a Subway sandwich, and give it out for Christmas. Girlfriends, sisters, daughters, kids, family, friends. It's fantastic. I bought mine, and I absolutely love it.
All right, I like it. Okay, so before we also jump into the show, now keep in mind, everybody, and I'll go to Mess Around on this. So Mess Around, tell me, how do you get one of those awesome ASAP shirts? How can you win one of those free shirts?
You talking about one of those shirts that I don't even have?
Yeah,
well,
one of those.
You can comment, like, and share, and if you have the most comments at the end of the month, you can win one. And if you don't want to do that, you can always buy one for $25 plus shipping and handling.
I like it. Because wouldn't you just want to get those awesome shirts for a nice Christmas gift? You know, it is right around the corner. And J-Mac, didn't you already purchase one too as a gift?
I did as a gift, and it went over very well. And they rock that shirt all the time. And I'll tell you, they get comments on it asking where they got it, how they get a hold of the network. So, yeah, it's a good thing.
All right. So our first topic of the night tonight, we're going to just jump right into it because we have a lot of hot topics tonight. So our first topic tonight is going to actually be the NASCAR Championship. So last week we all had different picks when it came to the Final Four in the NASCAR Championship. How many of you? I don't remember. How many of you had Chase Elliott? And I'm not seeing a show of hands. The Vic, you had Chase Elliott. So the Vic actually chose Chase Elliott. So I will throw out, and congratulations, the Vic got it right in the championship for Chase Elliott. The rest of us, hey Nate, go ahead and throw that humble pie up there on the screen, because the rest of us are gonna have to eat some humble pie on that. Because if I remember right, J-Mac and Mess Around had Joey Logano, and I had Brad Keselowski. So the Vic actually ended up winning that. So congratulations on that, as you chose Chase Elliott. Now, when you look at this race, this is actually a fairly good race. Chase Elliott led for 153 laps in this race. Now, the one question that I have for you guys, though, and I will go ahead and I will actually start with J-Mac on this. So, Joey Logano actually said that late in the race when he was trailing Chase Elliott, he actually considered actually spinning out one of the other cars to cause a late caution, so it would slow everything down so he could get neck and neck with Chase Elliott again. But he said he didn't do it because he didn't have the heart to do it. So what is your thoughts on that?
It just shows that sometimes you get competitive and your conscience gets the best of you, because you want to win when you're competitive, but sometimes it's not always the best thing to do. And kudos to him on that. It might be it might have cost him the championship in the end, but in the end he'll go down as a good sportsman for that. So sometimes that's more important.
So mess around. You're thinking of, if you're in this situation too, and you're Joey Logano, do you actually go through with spinning the guy out?
What was that?
What is that?
I have no idea.
All right. So
don't know what that means. Yeah, go ahead.
So
Brandon.
So if you are Joey Logano and you're going into that final lap, like I was saying before, do you spin him out like he was saying he wanted to?
Robin's racing, man. Spin him out. Do what you got to do to win. No, honestly though, that's just I don't think you can make that move. Just the integrity of racing. You don't want to do that because everybody's going to look down on you for doing that just to win a race. He did the right move by not doing it.
Correct. Sorry, guys, we're having some technical difficulties. I don't know where that music is coming from. Yo, guys.
Yeah.
Where's that music coming from?
It's not me.
Not on my end.
I'm not it.
I don't know.
Is it our behind the scenes, gentlemen?
No, he said no. Okay, so I don't know. That's weird. All right, so the Vic, I will get your thoughts on that one. Your opinion? Would you have done it?
Would I have spun him out?
Yes.
Did I have a chance at winning?
Well, see, Joey Logano was saying that his thing was if he caused a late spin out in the race, he could cause a caution, which slows down the race, which puts you neck and neck with the leader, which was Chase Elliott. So he would have been neck and neck with the leader.
No. I don't see cheating in any form, and I would consider that cheating, because you're trying to. You don't know what the end result's going to be. You don't know if someone's going to get hurt, bad accident. You don't know what's going to happen. So no, I wouldn't have done it. Because you never know. And to think that he would thought of doing that, that's not cool, man.
Yeah, that's definitely not. I give him props for not going through with it like he wanted to. And so Brandon Herrera also says that he's glad that he did not spin him out either to play it fair and square. He was completely happy with that. So, yeah. That is a good thing. But now looking back at Chase Elliott also, so with Chase Elliott, he joined his dad, Bill Elliott. So Chase and Bill Elliott were actually the third father and son duo in NASCAR to win championships. Chase Elliott, however, is the third youngest NASCAR driver to ever win a championship. He was 24 years old, 11 months, and 11 days. So congratulations for Chase Elliott. I see a few more championships coming in your future. So congrats on that. All right. So going into our next topic is going to actually be a fun topic. Our next topic is people who we call top 5 good players, but not Hall of Fame players. It's guys who we don't think should be in the Hall of Fame. And so this one, I'll go ahead and I'll start out with the Vic. The Vic, who do you have in your top 5 for good but not Hall of Fame?
Number 5, I got Curt Schilling. I feel that Curt Schilling deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but he's not, and I don't know why. Number 4, I'm going back a long time here. Going with Shoeless Joe Jackson. Part of the Black Sox scandal, all that stuff, but I mean, there's worse people in the Hall of Fame right now. Then I jumped over to some basketball. Tim Hardaway. I don't see how Tim Hardaway is not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he was a stud point guard at Miami, Golden State. He rocked it. I don't know. Number 2, got Terrell Davis of the Denver Broncos. Super Bowl running back. He basically led John Elway to some Super Bowls. Without him, John Elway wouldn't have won those Super Bowls. So John gets all the fame and glory, and Terrell gets dissed on the Hall of Fame. And number 1, you know where I'm going. Best center fielder in the game, in my mind, Atlanta Braves, Andrew Jones. He's got better stats than some people that are in the Hall of Fame, and I don't see how he's not there.
So you actually kind of went the opposite route. I actually went to guys who I said were good, but should not be in the Hall of Fame. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. You have guys who you thought should be in, and that's completely okay.
Okay. Yeah, I misread the question then.
I'm going to go with you, and you tell me.
What are you doing, Elsa?
Not sure what happened there with Ace. I think we were going to go to mess around next with his 5 as far as what we call, I would call it the Hall of the Very Good. Tell me if I'm wrong about that, mess around, but that's kind of what I consider this category, the Hall of the Very Good, like your top 5 Hall of the Very Good players. So go ahead and give us yours.
Mine, I'm going to start out. My number 5 is Mark Martin from NASCAR. And number 4, I got Jeremy Roenick, highest scoring player, not in the Hall. Number 3, I got Billy Wagner, 422 saves, 6th in the history of baseball, not in the Hall. Number 2, I'm going with the Rain Man, Sean Kemp. And number 1, I'm going to go with the guy that'll probably get there eventually, Devin Hester, greatest return man in the history of the game. That's my 5.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree that he's the greatest return man in the history. And there's been a lot of talk about whether it's him or Deion Sanders. And let me tell you that Deion Sanders scored touchdowns a lot of ways. But I think if you just go straight return, for me, it's Devin Hester. And maybe we'll do that countdown one of these days. We'll do the top 5 greatest return men of all time. That sounds like a great topic to throw on the show. But we're not talking about that tonight. But those are some great picks messing around. I will give you my 5, and I kind of went all NFL. I could have spread it out, but I didn't. So blame me for that. That's cool. I actually like that Billy Wagner pick. I like that one. So thanks for getting that out there, mess around. I really like that pick. I think that's one to pay attention to. So my 5, and again, went all NFL. Maybe should have mixed it up, but For me, number 5, Carson Palmer. He was always a good regular season quarterback, was never great in the playoffs. He's like 21st all time in passing yards, over 250 career touchdowns. I mean, so he's a good quarterback. The Hall is very good, but I don't think he'll ever make it to the Hall of Fame. And then number 4 might surprise some people, but it's actually Chris McAllister. He was a cornerback for the Ravens, and he was a very, very good player. A shutdown corner for a couple of years, I would say. But again, just a very good player, but not one of those jumps out and gets Hall of Fame kind of a consideration. 3 is Chad Johnson. I don't think he's ever going to end up in the Hall of Fame. I don't think his numbers stack up to some of the other guys. But when he was out there, he was dominant for sure. But I think he's a very good player, not a Hall of Fame player. Number 2, the man who invented the Lambeau Leap in Green Bay, Leroy Butler. Very good safety for his time. He was a very, very good player, but I don't think Hall of Fame. And I was torn at number 1 because I don't know if he won't get there someday, but he was a dominant linebacker when he played. But I just think that his numbers kind of don't push him over the top. Mess around, you'll remember this guy. His name was Zach Thomas. And he was a very, very good linebacker, but I don't think he's going to make it to the Hall of Fame. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, mess around, but I don't think he's kind of Hall of Fame caliber.
I don't know if he's quite got the numbers to get there, but he was an excellent player for his time. He was all over the field, made plays everywhere, but like you said, it's just I don't know if he ever gets there.
Yeah. So we'll throw it back over to Ace if he's ready to go, and we'll get his top 5.
All right, what's going on, everybody? So, J-Mac, so I was a little opposite than you. I did not go all NFL. I actually kind of jumped around, and I tried to hit pretty much all the major sports that I possibly could. So, actually, my number 5, to me, when you look at the MLB side of things, I went with MLB first, and I actually chose Ryan Braun. People have been high on Ryan Braun for a very long time. Yes, he won an MVP. Yes, he won Rookie of the Year. Yes, he was a multiple-time All-Star. But when you look at his career numbers, I don't think it's quite Hall of Fame worthy. And I think the biggest thing that hurts Ryan Braun the most is how he got suspended for the PED use. I think that's one thing that they're going to look at Ryan Braun and be like, that's why we shouldn't put him in, because all those numbers that he actually had to his relative years before getting popped for PED, yeah, those numbers were good. Don't get me wrong, because he averaged about 30 home runs a year, about 100 ribbies a year, and his batting average was pretty high. But after that, they dropped down a lot, so I don't think he'll be in. Now, this one might actually surprise you a little bit. I actually went to the route of somebody that's actually in the Hall of Fame that I don't think belongs in the Hall of Fame at all. And mess around. You're going to look at this and be like, you know what? We just talked about this. And it's the guy by the name of Tony Romo. Or, sorry, Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman does not belong in the Hall of Fame. And why doesn't Troy Aikman belong in the Hall of Fame? It doesn't matter that the dude has 3 rings. I know everybody will be like, it's Troy Aikman. He's got 3 rings. You know what? I don't care that Troy Aikman has 3 rings. When you look at his career statistics, how can a quarterback get in the Hall of Fame when the dude had 165 career touchdowns to 141 career interceptions? Does anybody know that his career passer rating was 81.6? His career passer rating was freaking 81.6. His completion percentage was 61. So explain to me, besides the 3 rings, how is this dude Hall of Fame worthy? I don't understand. J-Mac, you want to say something? I know you do. So J-Mac, you want to say something? You go ahead. You respond. Explain to me, how is this guy Hall of Fame worthy? And I don't care about the rings. He had Emmitt Smith that helped him. The team he was on was stacked. That's why he won the 3 rings. Troy Aikman being in the Hall of Fame is a joke. And J-Mac, I know you want to say something, so go ahead, say it.
Troy Aikman spent his entire career on the coattails of Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith is one of the top, if he's not the top, because we can argue whether he's the actual top running back of all time, even though he has most yards, but he's definitely top 3 all time. And there's no question in my mind about that. And he just went off the success of Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith could not be stopped. And they had great defensive players. They had great offensive players. Michael Irvin shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame either from his receiving numbers. We could go on that. I could go on this all night about who doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But the fact is they won 3 championships in the 90s. They were called the team of the 90s, and because of that, some guys got in. And I'll tell you a very underrated player from that time, and a very underrated player in that time was Daryl Moose Johnston was their fullback. And he was at a time when fullbacks were very, very good in the NFL. And he's a very underrated player in that. And Emmitt Smith can give about 10,000 of his career yards to the fact that he had Moose Johnston blocking for him. A very, very good. And thank you, Brandon Herrera, because that's what we were talking about. It's the team he was on. Tony Romo had better career numbers than Troy Aikman did.
Yep. And so going back to that, J-Mac, what you were saying, and yes, Brandon Herrera, that is true. The Cowboys need to thank the Vikings for building that team, because that was some stupid trades that they made.
Back to your list.
Yes, but going back to my list, besides that, you guys know that in Troy Aikman's 11 seasons that he played, he only played a full 16 games in 3 of those. So he was often out. Yeah, so he was often out. So him being in the Hall of Fame to me is just a complete joke. All right. So number 3, I actually went to the NHL side of things, and I actually went with Leo Bovin of the Islanders. Now, the reason I went with Bovin is because this dude played 19 years in the NHL. His highest career points in the NHL for one season was 26 points. 26! And it was the year that there was 6 teams in the NHL.
Again?
Yeah, I think so. 6 teams in the NHL. I don't know where he was going with his last 2.
Yeah, sorry. Okay,
you're still there? Okay. Sorry, back to Ace.
Yeah. Yep. So it was the original 6. That's actually what happened. And that was actually the only time he ever made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, was when it was the original 6. That was it. But he never got to hoist that trophy. He was never known on the offensive side of the puck at all. He was always known as a defensive man. People feared him on the defensive side. That was it. Other than that, the guy did not deserve to be in the NHL Hall of Fame, not even close. The guy did nothing in his career. Complete joke. All right. Number 2, I went to the NBA side, and this might actually surprise especially Dave on this. I actually went with Bill Bradley. Yes, Bill Bradley. I don't believe that Bill Bradley should be in there based upon when you look at Bill Bradley, he played for the New York Knicks. Yes, he played for him for 10 years. He was a key part of that team. But when you look at his numbers were not eye-popping at all. He averaged about 12 points a game, 3 rebounds a game. That was pretty much it. And then what did he do after his 10 years? He left and went to politics. If everybody remembers, he tried to get on the Democratic side in 2000. If you guys remember that, but that's when he left. He left to do politics. So explain to me how this guy has even the career numbers to even be in the Hall of Fame. Yes, the only statistical part that was actually decent was that he was at a 45% career shooter. That's it. Now, in the NBA, 45%, that's not too bad, but it's not the eye-popping numbers. And then number 1, number one of all time, I actually went with tennis, and I'm not saying all time. I'm sorry. I'll change that. Not all time. This list doesn't go in any particular order. But my one was Gabriella.
I didn't catch that.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so my number one was actually Gabriella Sabatini from tennis, and this is the funny thing because she got to the semifinals in 4 Australian Opens, was never able to make it past the semifinals in the Australian Open. She made it to 5 French Open semifinals, was never able to make it past that. She only won 1 major championship in her whole career. That was it. The only reason that she got in the first place was because her name was so big and people liked her. She actually had another tennis player, and you guys probably know the name. The name was Chris Evert. She actually retired because she felt like she was getting pushed out by Gabriella just because of her name. Chris, like, this is a joke. Gabriella hasn't done anything, and people are so high on her, and she's going to make the Hall of Fame. But that's my top 5 list.
So,
All right.
so I think we got confused, Adam.
But what? That's my top.
Your list was Hall of Fame people in the Hall of Fame that shouldn't be there. I did. I thought you said people that aren't good enough to be in the Hall that should be.
What's up?
I thought the topic was players that aren't good enough to be in the Hall that should be. Was it people that are in the Hall that shouldn't be?
Yeah. No, it was any way you wanted to go with it. Any way you wanted to go with it.
Okay. Okay, I'm just making sure because all your guys are like Hall of Fame guys.
Yeah, that's why I said any way you wanted to go with it, because I wanted to go that other route because I was like, this is dumb that some of these people were in the Hall of Fame that should not have been in there, you know. And then Vic went the route of the people that should be in the Hall of Fame that are not there. So
that's what I really too.
Yeah. So it really depends on how you feel. All right. So our next topic that we're gonna move to is actually the top 5 worst owners of all time. And mess around, Dave. I'll let you go first on this one.
Okay, so mine is going to be mostly NFL heavy on this. Number 5, I got Mike Brown, owner of the Bengals, just horrible owner. Let a guy like Marvin Lewis stay coach for 10 years and lost in the playoffs all the time. Number 4, probably not a surprise, Jerry Jones. Number 3, I got James Dolan from the Knicks. When's the last time they were relevant? And then number 2, I got Jerry Reinsdorf, owner of the White Sox and the Bulls. This is a guy that broke up the Bulls too soon. He got criticized heavily for that. He should have given him at least one more run. And number 1 is Daniel Snyder. What can I say about that guy? So signed all these big name guys when they're old, thinking he's going to buy a championship, and the players he signed were just past their time.
All right.
That's 5.
So looks like that's your 5. Okay, so on this one, I'll actually go with J-Mac, and I think I know where he's going on a few of these because we previously talked about it. So I really want to hear his list. So J-Mac, go ahead and take it away. What's your list?
First off, I just want to say one thing before I get into my list. Mess around. I can't agree with you on the Reinsdorf pick, only because they won 6 championships in 8 years. And I know he broke that team up, but they won 6 championships in 8 years. That's all. That's all. It's fine. It's fine. Nope. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I just that's it. But my list. I think you'll like one guy on my list in particular, though. I gotta say, number 5, Charles Comiskey. The White Sox owner during the whole, it would have been the Black Sox back then, the whole scandal with shoeless Joe Jackson and throwing the World Series. But for a while, he actually had the stadium named after him, Comiskey Park. And, that was because he demanded it or he wasn't going to give him a new stadium. I don't know if you knew that part of the story, but that is what happened. I have James Dolan as well because I don't know of a worse franchise in the NBA. I can't really think of one. Number 3 will surprise a lot of people, but it's Harold Ballard. And if anyone doesn't know what he's the owner of, he's the owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And this is a guy that he got caught turning up the AC and turning off the heat so that fans would have to go buy soft drinks at the game. Like, he did that all on purpose to get them to spend more money on merchandise and stuff. Number 2 is Woody Johnson. I don't even whatever. And number 1, I can't disagree with you more, man. Dan Snyder. That dude's awful. I mean, Brandon Herrera I can't disagree with most of those for sure. But, Dan Snyder's just awful. Like you said, he goes out and gets these free agents that, like, what are you thinking, man? I don't know. And his drafting is terrible. Just awful.
All right. So that was JMax 5. So this time we're going to go with the Vic. So the Vic, go ahead and take it away.
Oh, this is good. All right. Number 5. And you know it's bad when he's number 5. I have Daniel Snyder at number 5 of the worst owners in the history of any sport. I went any sport, so I'm all over the board here. Number 4, Mike Brown, Cincinnati. I mean, I don't even know what to say that you guys haven't already said. He was horrible. Number 3, Donald Sterling of the Los Angeles Clippers. Nothing worse than a racist owner that has to sell the team. Plus, the Clippers always choked. They were never any good. And a lot of that had to do with nobody wanting to play for him. Number 2, Jeffrey Loria of the Miami Marlins. Just wow. Before Jeter took over, I mean, it was a fire sale every year almost. And number 1, I was torn with number 1. I was torn between a drug addict and a narcissist. But I went with Al Davis of the Oakland Raiders.
I'm curious who the other one was.
Jim Irsay of the Colts.
Okay. I give you that. I give you that. That's where I was hoping you were going with that, because he's the only one I knew of. But yeah,
I didn't go just horrible, team decisions. I went with horrible life choices as well as just being horrible human beings. That's how I kind of combined all my people.
Just win, baby.
Just win, baby.
Just win. All right. So sounds like the interesting thing sounds like you guys have a lot of the same basically owners that I do. There's only a few slight differences that I have. So the first one that I have, I had to go with mess around and J-Mac on this one. James Dolan. How would you not have James Dolan on this list? The owner of the New York Knicks. Man, that guy has completely destroyed. I mean, absolutely destroyed this franchise. I don't think that a team has your back or the fans have your back when they're sitting in the stands and they're chanting, "Sell the team, sell the team, sell the team." And people have signs that they're holding up that says "Sell the team." Like, that shows you how bad of an owner you are. That is ridiculously bad. All right. So my number 4 on this list was actually Charles Wong from the New York Islanders. So as you guys see, I'm kind of jumping around the board here everywhere. The Charles Wong, he actually bought the Islanders back in 2000. The interesting thing about this was since he bought them in 2000, they've had 7 winning seasons. And this is the funny part. The funny part is he signed a no-name goalie by the name of Rick DiPridio to a 15-year contract, $65 million. And then what he do? He actually hired a GM, and then he fired him in 45 days. And then he hired another GM, and he fired him in 60 days. And then he hired another GM, and he actually kept them for a full year. So he's going through coaches and GMs like crazy. And then I actually went with the Vic on this one too. Jeffrey Loria. How can you not have him on your list? He completely destroyed the Marlins franchise. It was so bad what he did. They actually had a full year before he sold the team, and all 81 home games that they had, the attendance was under 100,000 for all 81 games combined. That's horrible. Number 2, Jimmy Haslam. What has he done in Cleveland? He's done absolutely nothing in Cleveland. Ever since taking over, his record in Cleveland is 28, 83, and 1. That is horrible. Number 1, and this is where we talked about it yesterday, between Woody Johnson and Jerry Jones. I went with Woody Johnson. And this might actually surprise you that Daniel Snyder's not on this list. And I was actually surprised that how bad you guys were talking about Jerry Jones, that he's not on your guys' list. That actually surprised me. But I went with Woody Johnson because he destroyed this Jets franchise. So, J-Mac, what made you decide to keep Jerry Jones off your list?
I tried to spread it out between all of the leagues, and I think that's why in the end, because I don't think that Jerry Jones is a worse owner than Woody Johnson or Daniel Snyder. So I couldn't put him on the list because I needed to get the other 3 on there. And how do you, I mean, because for me, how do you not put the Maple Leafs owner on there? The Maple Leafs have been terrible for how many years now? Mm-hmm. And I mean, Charles Comiskey he was a worse man than he was an owner. He was just a terrible guy. So that'd be why. I mean, now if we were doing an NFL list, Jerry Jones is number 3 for sure. So
oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I had him on my list. He was number 4 on my list.
Yeah.
Where would you put MJ as an owner? Well, when you're talking about MJ, and I think we previously talked about this on one of our episodes, but obviously when he owned the Bobcats, man, whew, that was a historically bad franchise. Like, they had the lowest win total of an NBA team in history. They had 8 wins in a year. I don't know, like, how can you not even put MJ in the top 5 worst owners of all time? But I don't,
because you're talking a wide array of sports. I think it would have been different if we did top 5 NBA, top 5 NFL. He definitely would have been in there for the NBA. But again,
there's a lot of worse ones out there. There is.
Yeah, I went team wise as well as personal wise. I mean, who they are as a person. So Michael Jordan, he's a good guy. So I mean, he in just an NBA list, he'd be up there. But as far as my list, it was how they ruined the team as well as how they ruined their lives, basically outside of the game. Just overall, who's a bad person. That's how I did mine.
Yeah, and what really made me put Woody Johnson at number 1 over some of the other owners was that if you look at the Jets, Woody Johnson obviously gives the GMs and coaches a fair shot. I mean, look at what he's done with Adam Gase. We all know how horrible Adam Gase is, and we still can't figure out how the heck
Adam Gase for president.
Other than that, I don't have anything else left to say on the owner side. So the next topic that we'll jump into, we're going to actually talk about who we believe is the top 5 best Detroit Lions quarterbacks of all time. And on this one
was a tough one.
Well, not technically. So I'll go ahead and I'll start with this one. Number 5 for me, it was pretty simple. It was Scott Mitchell, the lefty he was actually one of the better lefties that we've actually seen. When you look at this Lions team, though, going back to what Vic was saying, there really wasn't a lot of what you would call decent quarterbacks. So you really kind of had to dig. But number 5 was pretty easy. You go to Scott Mitchell. He ranks 3rd in franchise in completions and yards, and then 4th in touchdowns. So he did some decent numbers. I think the only knock on him was that he was not good playoff wise. Okay, my number 4. I actually had him on the list of the Chicago Bears too. Was actually Eric Kramer, and it's kind of funny how he can be on 2 different lists, but he went on the Lions and actually did fairly well with them too. Actually led them to a playoff season when he actually shared snaps with Andre Ware and Rodney Peete. They actually went 10-6. Okay, and then my number 3 was Greg Landry. He had over 900 completions, over 12,000 yards, and 80 touchdowns. My number 2, and this might actually surprise you guys, that I actually put this guy at number 2. And my number 2 guy was actually Matthew Stafford. Even though he leads the Lions in like every statistical category there is. You would think that Stafford would be the best Lions quarterback ever, but he actually wasn't. The best Lions quarterback actually ever was actually Bobby Lane. And when it came to Bobby Lane, you have to put him on this list because he played from 50 to 58, and he actually had 3 championships for the Lions. They're only really championships before the Super Bowl era actually started. So that's my top 5 list. So I'll go to the Vic on this one. Go ahead, Vic. Tell me your top 5.
Oh, joy. We have a lot of the same people on the list because there weren't that very many good ones for the Lions over the past century. Number 5, I got Scotty Mitchell. You know, the lightning lefty. He did halfway decent. He wasn't horrible. But he was all right. Number 4, I have Mr. Greg Landry. He was there about 10 years, I think he was with them. He did pretty all right. Not, super stud, but, it was the Lions, basically. Number 3, Rodney Peete. This may cause some issues between people right now, but I like Rodney Peete. He came out of USC. He's a Trojan. It was hard for me to do this. He was a great leader, but he just hurt too much, which is why he's at number 3. Number 2, Bobby Lane. I mean, Bob. I like Bob.
Right.
I just like saying Bob. 50 to 58. Had to go way back to find Bob. So he was the dude. A lot of the places I researched had him at number 1. So, but number 1. I mean, J-Mac, don't get mad because I'm going to say a name, and the name is Joey Harrington.
What? What?
Is not number 1. It's Matthew Stafford, of course.
All right, thank you. I was gonna say, oh my gosh. I was gonna say, I understand being a Ducks fan, but my God, you're gonna put Joey Harrington in number 1. Whew.
I know how J-Mac gets when I say stupid things like that. He just wants to walk off set, so I wanted to give him fair warning.
Wow.
It was a joke. I mean, even I don't even put Joey in the top 30. So, yeah, Matthew Stafford's number 1. I mean, he's doing the best he can with what he's been given, and hopefully, they'll turn it around. What? So that's my 5. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my 5.
Oh boy.
J-Mac. So J-Mac, it looks like it's going to you, buddy.
Well,
J-Mac, take it away.
I'll tell you, I had a lot of the same guys. I'm not going to lie about that, but I got something to say about Scott Mitchell. Now, Scott Mitchell was number 5 on my list, but I will tell you that he could have moved up this list very, very quickly. He could be near the top. All you had to do, Scott Mitchell, if you're listening, please tell me you're listening. All you had to do was get to an NFC championship game, and the team was set up for you to do that. You had a Herman Moore, Brett Perriman, Johnny Morton, okay? You had Barry Sanders in the backfield to hand the ball to.
Mm-hmm.
All right? We could keep going. Defensive side, you had Chris Spillman at linebacker. You had Robert Porcher at tight end, defensive end. Who do you have as a defense? He had a great Champ Bailey. Like, come on, man. What were you – how do you not make an NFC championship game at least with that team? You win one playoff game?
Well, yeah, and that's what I was saying. That was the biggest knock on Scott Mitchell, was that he was not – he was good in the regular season, but when Scott Mitchell made it to playoff-wise, he could not get it done.
So, yeah, 5 is Scott Mitchell. 4 was Greg Landry for me. 3, you guys are think I'm crazy. You really will. You think Vic's pick at 3 was crazy? Like, my pick at 3, you guys are going to be like, really? My pick at 3 is Charlie Batch.
Ooh.
Because he actually made him competitive when he played for the team. He didn't do much, but he made him a competitive team. So Charlie Batch is number 3. I struggled with 2 and 1 because obviously they're Bobby Lane and Matthew Stafford. I think Lane gets the nod just because, like Ace said, those 3 championships he had before the Super Bowl is the reason he gets it. But Stafford is far and away statistically the best quarterback the Lions have ever had. And talent-wise, he's probably by far the best.
Yeah, and I don't think it's really surprising at all that most of us actually had basically the same 5, because when you look at historically on the Detroit Lions, they didn't really have a lot of good quarterbacks, really. So, and J-Mac, I would say that I was a little surprised about the Charlie Batch one. And then the Vic, I was actually surprised about Rodney Peete also. I'm not saying that those are horrible. I was just kind of surprised about them. I didn't think you guys would go down that route.
Well, just saying that I would say Charlie Batch beat Green Bay 2 out of 3 games that he played him against in Detroit. So he made him a competitive team, even if he didn't win a lot of games. No Brandon Herrera, no Andre Ware, because the guy was maybe one of the biggest busts ever. So,
well, now to go back to what Brandon Herrera is saying is that I know he's talking about Andre Ware. He might be saying, how can you not put Andre Ware on this list? But if you remember, like I was saying, when it came to Eric Kramer, we had Eric Kramer. A few of us had Eric Kramer on that list. That was the year that they went 10-6. Now keep in mind, he did split snaps with Rodney Peete and Andre Ware. So they gave him all 3 credit for leading them to the playoffs. Andre Ware wasn't terrible. I don't think he's good enough to make the top 5, but he wasn't terrible by any means, really. All right. So now to finish the show out, we're just going to kind of talk about various NFL topics and MLB
Does Mess Around get his 5?
What have you?
So don't mess around with Mess Around.
All right. So
Don't mess around.
hold on. Right. So you don't mess around, right? Mess around doesn't mess around. So the first thing I was going to ask, because this was actually an interesting conversation that I was talking to some people with the other day at work, and it came to NFL wise. When we talk about the NFL and how the divisions are set up, and so I'll go ahead and I'll start with Mess Around on this one. Mess Around, do you think that it's time for a NFL realignment? Do you think that the teams are too spread out, that they need to get them closer and kind of break up the divisions and get them going in different divisions now? What's your take on that?
Before we get to that, I'm going to go ahead and throw out my 5. Since I
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
My
How
five-
rude.
Right. My five is the same as a lot of your guys. Is like I got Scott Mitchell at 5, Eric Kramer at 4. And I wasn't surprised with your batch one of the Hawks. He's on mine at 3 too. Really good game manager. Did a lot of decent things with him. Number 2 is Bobby Lane, and number 1 Stafford. So I had a lot of the same guys. And to answer your question, I don't think they should realign the divisions. I like them the way they sit currently. I mean, yeah, it makes sense to put them geographically closer together. Like they should, some of them should be like you could put, I don't know, Green Bay, Chicago, Detroit, and Kansas City in a division. They're all kind of close. And there's some other divisions you can do that make sense as well. I can't really say which ones they are because I don't have a map in front of me. So, but I like the way it is now.
So J-Mac, what's your take on that? Do you think it's time?
On some of them, but I don't know where he gets Kansas City's closer to the teams than Minnesota.
Well, I'm just saying, I think it'd be cool if they put Kansas City in the division.
I mean, okay, it'd be cool hypothetical, but yeah, I think that a few of them, like the Cowboys playing in the East, has never made sense to me. I got to say that one. Like, you got 3 teams over in the East, where you got DC, you got New York, and help me out, and why can't I think of it?
You have the Bills too.
I'm sorry, and the Eagles. So you got them all that are like within 3 hours of each other, and then they got to go play in Dallas, which is like a 10-hour flight away. And it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So that one's never made sense. I think maybe that one should be changed, but a lot of the other ones make sense. I don't know how you'd get them any closer, because your NFC North is close. I mean, that one works. AFC South may be a little bit revamped as far as because the Colts play in the South, and I don't think the Colts are really in the South. But
who would you move there? I mean, there's
right,
no other,
but that's the thing. Like, there's no one else to move into the South, and so I get why that. But Dallas is the one that's always bothered me. Like, I thought when they realigned in 2002, when the Texans came in, that they should have moved Dallas. And I get moving them to the West doesn't make sense, but maybe they should have been in the NFC South, and then you move Carolina to the East. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the right answer is, but
I like that one. That would work out.
Yeah,
good.
I mean, is anyone else bothered by the Dallas thing? That's really the only one that's ever bothered me, is Dallas playing in the East.
Yeah, but
because they're like in the middle.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but when you look at the realignment, also you can look in Florida, and in Florida they have 3 different teams in Florida. So you would think that if they're worried about traveling and everything, you could technically put the 3 teams that are in Florida. You could put them in the same division, and then you could also put in like Atlanta in that same division also, or Carolina.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just saying that if there's any of them, I guess the question was, could you see any of them changing, or is it time? I think, honestly, it's time to change the Cowboys. It's time to take them out of the East, because geographically, they're not even in the East. So I think that's the one that needs to be changed.
Yep. All right.
I agree.
So Vic, you don't have anything else left to say on that one?
No, I'd like the Kansas City Chiefs out of the Chargers division, but I mean, put them in, just move them somewhere. I don't care where they go. Just get out of my division.
I said Kansas City because it's the first team that popped in my head. I couldn't think of anything. I know they're not close to theirs. It just popped into my head.
So,
like I said, I don't have a map in front of me.
So our next topic, and I'll start with Vic on this one because this seems to be one of the big sports that she likes the most. So Vic, I'm going to go ahead and ask you, and we're going to jump to the MLB side of things, actually. No! So when you look at the MLB side, how do how do you feel as going into next year? Do you feel like MLB should keep the DH in the NL also?
100%, absolutely. It brought a new excitement to the game this year. I mean, instead of getting to the eighth hitter, be like, oh, we're gonna walk the eighth hitter so we can pitch to the pitcher who's gonna strike out. It put a whole new turn on. Can we walk anybody? Because they got stacked lineup top to bottom. So yeah, I hope it stays. I mean, it put a spark back into the game that's been missing for a while, offensive wise. I mean, just speaking from my point of view, the Braves, if that stays, Marcell Ozuna, they need to pay whatever he wants because he is a phenomenal DH and could sub in for an outfielder whenever needed. But it needs to be there. It's just too. It makes the game more exciting for me anyway. It had it put a new spark in it. Absolutely.
All right, so mess around. What do you think? Do you think that the NL should keep that DH, or do you think it should go back to the way it was?
Well, if you go back to the way it was, then you're talking about playing the small ball game again, and that was a lot of teams did that really well with the small ball, and then you had the we don't want to take our pitcher out; he's pitching well, but we need this run. We got a runner on third with 2 outs, and we know our pitcher's not going to do it, so we need to take him out and pinch hit for him. And then you lose the game because you took your pitcher out when he was on a roll. So, yeah, I think the DH rule is excellent, and it should stay in the NL. I'm not a fan of any NL team, by the way. I like the White Sox, but
shut your mouth.
It should stay.
All right. So J-Mac.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
I can see both sides of it. I can see that it made for a good. You had to be a better strategy manager in the NL if you don't have the DH. But if you're, in my opinion, if you're going to have the DH, you need to decide if you're going to have it for all of Major League or not at all. So it either needs to be voted in universally or just abolished from the game. It's got to be one way or the other. I don't think it can be both. So that's kind of my take on that.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing they need to do is abolish it because where would Nelson Cruz, Edgar Martinez? I mean, these guys would have never, wouldn't have had the careers that they've had if they'd have abolished it in both leagues. So I hope they make the decision to keep it league wide because it's going to extend some careers of some great ball players that normally we probably wouldn't get to see, and even in the National League.
So yeah, and for the most part, I agree with you guys. I'm saying, I think that they should have a DH in the National League because I feel if they're going to have one in the American League, they need to have it in the National League. But if they're going to take it away from the National League, then they need to also take it away from the American League also. So they need to have both conferences basically the same. However you want to do it, it's got to be that same exact thing. All right, so my final topic of the night, and I'll tell you, it's going to get warm in here because I know everyone's going to have various opinions on this one. I'm going to talk about Phillip Rivers. Yes, I'm going to talk about Phillip Rivers, and I'm going to start with mess around on this one. Mess around. At this point in time, when he came from the same draft class as Eli Manning and Roethlisberger. So when you look at Phillip Rivers' career, does Phillip Rivers belong in the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely. The numbers this guy put up, just on numbers alone, he should get in. My question to you is, if San Diego wouldn't have traded Drew Brees, how many championships would San Diego have right now? I mean, not traded him, but not re-signed him. If they would have re-signed Brees and not drafted Rivers, how many Super Bowls would San Diego have right now? Would they have won one? I think that's a better question.
Oh, yeah. See, and I've said this before. I've said that if the Chargers kept Brees, the Chargers would have had a championship by now. They would have won a Super Bowl. I've said that. I've said it now. Yes, he does. Okay, so that's actually, just so everybody knows, that's actually my wife that is commenting on that one. And Brandon Herrera wants to know everybody's thoughts on putting a runner at second base, especially in the extra innings. Do you guys like that? How it goes to the top of the 10th and then there's immediately a runner at second base?
No.
No,
Everybody, huh?
It's Bush League. Can we get back to the Phillip Rivers conversation, though?
Yes. Okay. So Mess Around says yes, he belongs in the Hall of Fame. So J-Mac, I'll go to you. Does he belong in the Hall of Fame?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you reasons why right now.
Do it.
Because if I'm a Hall of Fame voter and I say that, okay, Eli Manning's already retired, and I got Roethlisberger and Charger and Rivers that retire in the same year, and I'm a Hall of Fame voter, and I'm looking at all three of these guys that came from the same draft class, and I can only pick two to go to the Hall of Fame. Am I taking Eli Manning over either Roethlisberger or Rivers? Not in a million years, not in a million votes. And if that's voted in, there needs to be a recount because I'm sorry, Manning was not on the level of either Rivers or Roethlisberger when it comes to those two. So, yes, Rivers is a Hall of Famer.
Now, J-Mac, I will agree with you that Rivers is better than Manning. The problem is here. This is the problem where it's going to lie. You can go back to the Tony Romo issue where Romo was in the Hall of Fame because he has 3 rings. Now, all the voters are going to look at that and be like,
you mean Aikman?
Yeah, Romo don't got 3 rings.
I'm sorry,
Aikman.
I'm sorry, Aikman. That's what I meant to say, Aikman. Aikman has 3 rings. So, yes, Aikman has 3 rings. So, when you're going back to the whole Aikman thing now you're looking at Roethlisberger, Manning, and Rivers. And if they say you can only have in 2, obviously they're going to take the 2 guys that have rings. Do I agree with it? No. I think that Rivers is better than Eli Manning. But I'm just saying that this is what they're going to look at, that Roethlisberger and Manning have rings and Rivers doesn't. So, the Vic, what do you feel? Do you feel that Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer?
Stat-wise, 100%. Absolutely. The reason he probably won't get in, he doesn't have the rings. Eli will get in because he's got 2 rings. They were saying for a long time that Peyton won't get in unless he wins the 2nd ring. That's ridiculous. Peyton should have been in no matter whether he won a ring or not. But if there's a reason Rivers won't make it in.
This is why it's going to get hot, is because I'm going to argue this to the end. And I'm going to ask you then.
I'm saying he belongs there.
No, I get that. I get that. But you're telling me that the Hall of Fame voters vote specifically on rings when they look at a guy's career, okay? So you're telling me then that Brad Johnson and Trent Dilfer and all of those guys deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, frankly, in the fact that they have a Super Bowl ring.
No.
It's just other guys that don't.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
We're not saying that.
I'm not saying that.
I'm saying
they're going to look at did he win? Did he lead a team? Did he have decent numbers? And how many times did he win a Super Bowl? Did he make that change, that impact? I'm not saying it's right. I don't think, that'd be like me saying that David Carr deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because he won a Super Bowl ring with the Giants when he was a third string backup. No. But that would be the only thing keeping Phillip Rivers out if it happens. And some of these voters tend to be very biased about that. And I think it's crap.
They do. I tell you, they really are biased. That's why that's why I keep going back to the whole Aikman thing, because he has 3 rings. He has 3 rings. His numbers are freaking horrible. They were never statistically any good at all, and they still put him in because of his rings. That's why that's why they did it.
Yeah.
Well, here's why Eli gets in first, because before Rivers. Not just because he has 2 rings. but because of who he beat Tom Brady and the Patriots twice. That's why he gets in before Rivers in the voters' eyes. I bet you that's why.
Yeah, and now
because he retired first.
Now, I'm not saying that this is what you guys are basing it off of, but I think when people look at Eli Manning and they look at Manning's numbers, and then they go and they look at Peyton Manning, and so they're like, wow, Peyton Manning's numbers were statistically way better. And yes, they were. Not even a question. His numbers were way better. But I think that Peyton Manning is put way up here on a top shelf, and people go, okay, so Peyton Manning's numbers are way up here, so then people expect Eli to be that same guy, but he's not that same guy. So people compare Eli to Peyton, and I think that that's why people don't think that Eli was even relatively close or deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. That's just my take. That's my take on that.
It's also name notoriety too.
Yeah, people compare him to Peyton. That's the big problem. People compare him to Peyton.
So Eli didn't win either one of those Super Bowls.
No, he didn't.
Neither one of them are on him. They're on his defense.
I get that.
And so that's all I'm saying is when you're looking at that, and I'm not saying this is you guys, but the voters, like, you can't base it on a guy for how many rings he has, okay? By voters' standpoint, right? Then you're telling me that Troy Aikman is a better quarterback than Jim Kelly because Aikman won 3 and Kelly lost 4.
No, but that's what the voters are going to look at.
But I get that that's the argument we're having right now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not any of us. But tell me that any of that makes any sense to any of you. That Aikman is better than Kelly, strictly on the fact that Aikman won 3 and Kelly lost 4.
No, because statistically, it's not even close. It's not like Romo's numbers were way better than Aikman was. Romo's numbers were way up here. Aikman's numbers were here. Yet, if you ask any Cowboys fans, they're all going to say Aikman's our guy. And I'm like, really? Have you seen Romo's numbers compared to Aikman's?
And by the way, just a little bit of difference on those two guys again, other than the fact that their numbers are different. Romo was an undrafted free agent, okay? And Aikman was taken first overall in the draft. So whose numbers should have been better? Like, that's something to look at as well. Aikman was expected to do better than Romo, and he didn't.
He was.
And he also had Harper and Urban and Novacek to throw the ball to, and Johnson.
You're right.
Yeah, right. Correct.
He had Owens.
And to answer a question that somebody asked, is Eli or Peyton better? It's not even close. Peyton is way better than Eli was. It's not even a comparison. But J-Mac, going back to what you were saying about Eli, just really, really quick, I understand that it was his defense that helped him win those Super Bowls. But you do have to realize that he did get Super Bowl MVPs. They gave him credit for winning those Super Bowls. I don't know why. It was probably because of the name. But I'm just saying they gave him credit for winning those Super Bowls.
That's cool.
Gross. It was gross.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. So that's just my point. And Brandon Herrera actually goes back to Jim Kelly and said that Jim Kelly did not lose all of them. And actually going back to that, it was actually the kicker who actually lost the first one against the Giants. Scott Norwood missed that kick. That was a big kick, and he missed it.
Loser. You get paid to do one thing, kick a field goal.
But I think we're all on the same page that we all agree that Phillip Rivers belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
And we would all take Roethlisberger and Rivers over Manning. We're all on the same page there, too. So
Yes.
I'm glad we get along with that. All right. So now we're past our time. So now I'm going to give everybody 30 seconds to basically finish the show and say whatever they have to say. I'll go ahead and start out with the Vic. The Vic, you got 30 seconds.
tomorrow, MV free. If he does not win MVP, I'm going to riot. I'm going to go out of my mind. Freddie Freeman is the NL MVP, but I tell you, I feel they're going to go with the big name like they do, like we were just talking about. They're going to go with the name of Mookie Betts, and I will freak out. I will go crazy. MV free. Go Ducks Saturday, Washington State. We're going to win. I'm good. Oh, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Go buy some jewelry. PaparazziAccessories.com.
All right, mess around. You got 30 seconds.
I'm gonna go with the same route there, the MVP for the AL. If it's not Abreu, then he's robbed. It should be Abreu and no one else. That's all I got.
All right, J-Mac.
All right, to hit on both of those, Vic, you're right. Mess around, you're wrong. And to hit on that, we appreciate you. I just don't think Abreu is the MVP. That's my opinion. I don't have another name for you though, so I don't know. I'm just ribbing at you, buddy. It's cool. Like you probably watch the AL way more than I do. I will admit that, and I really don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to that one. I just wanted to give you a hard time. So, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate it so much. We can't say enough about how much we appreciate this. And you keep watching. Hit up the sponsors. Any of you ever wanna anyone wants to be a sponsorship, hit us up on the show. We do this for you. Whether you believe it or not. You're the reason we're here. So y'all have a good night.
Lisa Halverson, I will say hello to you also. Thank you for saying hello. And Brandon Herrera is going to say Vikings by 20 on Monday, but we will actually talk about our picks on Saturday. But before we wrap it up for the night, the Vic, one last time, who is our show sponsored by? So go ahead and tell us, who's our sponsor?
Our sponsor is Suzanne's Bling from PaparazziAccessories.com. 24/7 shopping. She's all the jewelry, lead nickel free, fantastic jewelry. I know my mom and I were going to order a whole bunch for my niece for Christmas. Everything's $5. I mean, come on, you can load up. Literally, load up. Consultant code 160920. It gets here super fast. It's super well made. I absolutely love it. Highly recommend it. Buy some jewelry, man. Come on. Get on it.
One quick thing on that, by the way, she's planning on doing a live, and we will keep you informed on when that's going to be. We will promote it on the network. We will let everyone know. We will get you a link on how to check that out.
Absolutely. That'd be awesome.
And for everybody who has commented tonight that is not part of the ASAP network, I will tell you, you are now entered into having a chance to win a free t-shirt. So with that being said, mess around. How do you win that t-shirt, brother?
You comment, like, and share, man. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. And if you don't want to do that, you can always buy one for $25 plus shipping and handling.
Wow, that's a sweet deal. I'm telling you. And if you get it, once you get your shirt, you will get your ASAP Sports Network shirt. You will get it ASAP. So keep that in mind. You'll get it that quick. You'll get it that quick.
That's my joke. That's my joke.
That's your joke. All right. So I want to thank everybody again for watching. I want to give a shout out to our producer behind the scenes. Thank you, Nate the Great. As always, we'll go ahead and pop you up on the screen here for a second. Thank you, Nate.
Thanks, buddy. We couldn't do it without you.
Absolutely. 100%. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. So just really quick, Nate, without going into detail, is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Famer, yes or no?
I think.
Say it.
I don't think he's going to be first ballot. I think he'll make it maybe like in the next 5-10 years.
But he is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I don't think he's first ballot, though.
Good answer. J-Mac's not going to come kill you now.
Yeah. So, yeah, my camera just unplugged. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so with that being said, I want to thank everybody for watching, and I hope everybody had a great time. And thank you, Nate. Thank you, Vic. Thank you, Mess Around. Thank you, J-Mac. It was fun as always. And now keep in mind, tomorrow is Real Talk, but on Saturday, keep coming back to Sports Minute. Sports Minute will be back. All college, all NFL on Saturday. So everybody have a fantastic night, and we will see you again soon.
Go Ducks.
Peace.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays. Like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.